hope. This is an emotion. It isn't measurable. It's felt here. And I know each and every one of your minds have been fed all day yesterday and this morning. So I need you to do me a favor, because my story is a story of hope, and hope is in our hearts. So just humor me for a moment, would you? And I need to drop each and every one of you 12 inches from this busy head up here down into your heart. If you could just sit back in your chairs, take a deep breath in and out. And as you do that, just settle right in here. But I'm going to keep you comfortable, because I'm going to bring you back to numbers. These are mine. 24, actually. 31, 35, 38 to 41, and 43. Those were the ages that I had Hodgkin's lymphoma, lymphocyte predominant. Talk about a life interrupted. This was my initial diagnosis. It was 3 weeks before my 25th birthday. Happy birthday! And it was an interesting thing. I had this lump that just suddenly seemed to appear right about here. And I didn't really know what it was. And when I went to the doctor, he referred me for a mammogram. And I went to this women's breast health center. And she said, oh, let's do a needle biopsy. She did a needle biopsy. Nothing was there. It was negative. The mammogram, negative. She said, if you want to have it removed, you can. Well, of course I'm going to have a lump removed, sticking out of my armpit. Yes, thank you very much. So I went to a surgeon, and the surgeon said to me, he says, I want you to know that when I remove this lump, I will send it for biopsy. That's a normal procedure. Okay, great. No problem. I had no worries. It was negative, right? When I went in for my post-surgical checkup, he was a family surgeon. He looked at me and said, is your mom with you? I said, no, Mom didn't need to be here, did she? Excuse me. Well, have you ever heard of Hodgkin's lymphoma? Funny enough, I did. Bear with me, I'm going to trace. I did. My mom's best friend died of it. Excuse me. And I've had allergies thanks to my baby. She died of it. So that was my only point of reference, right? So I ended up going through chemo radiation. I had 12. Oh, I'm struggling with my voice so much. 12 lymph nodes down my left side. Went through chemo radiation, all was fine. I went on to live my life. I had a professional career. I mean, I was 24 years old. What were you doing at 24 years old? You were just starting your career. And so I went back to it. And I continued to think, I'm going to climb this corporate ladder. I'm going to get married. I'm going to have a big family. And as I was climbing that corporate ladder, I started to get really tired. And I thought it was just from stress. But when I went through my 5-year mark, and when I got to the 6-year mark, and this fatigue was happening, I knew it wasn't right, because I would have to, at the end of the day, go take a nap at night in my car prior to driving 20 minutes home. It wasn't right. Who does that? So when I went in to see him, he immediately took me in for a CT scan, and then he went ahead and said, we got to do a biopsy. We did another biopsy. And when we got the biopsy done, he sat me down and he said, Diane, and now I'd worked with this gentleman. I opened his cancer center. I was his marketing person. And he said, Diane, I'm not gonna sugarcoat this. You have this thing that you had before. It's called lymphocyte predominant, Hodgkin's lymphoma lymphocyte predominant. And he started to use words like non-aggressive, slow-growing, incurable. Not terminal yet, but incurable. It would become more and more aggressive, and chemo would become less and less effective. And the intervals of when I got it would become shorter. Let me switch that slide. I have a habit of doing this. So I went through treatment with all of this on my mind. I have an incurable cancer. But you know what he said to me? He said to me that time, Diane, don't lose hope. There's that word, hope, right? Don't lose hope, because there is medical research being done every single day. You have no idea what is coming down the pike that will help you the next time this comes around. And who knows, maybe even cure you. I mean, this man and I were friends because of working with him. I said, okay, I trust you. I got through chemotherapy. 35 years later, ding, 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 life interrupted again. Or at 35, not 35 years later. At 35, ding, 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 here it comes again. Rituxan was new to me, so we tried Rituxan. And it worked in 4 short treatments. But I'll tell you something, that was the one that got me, the 35. And the reason being is because I realized my days were numbered. Every single day I had truly could be the last healthy day of my life. Whew. Talk about growing up fast, that's not something you want to be thinking about at 35. So you know what I did? Sold all my stuff, got in a car, and moved to a state that was really, really sunny. 200 actually more like 310 days a year. I moved to Arizona, 2,400 miles away. And 8 weeks after I moved there, I met this man, the love of my life, Jeff. And we got married. We got married 2 years later. We had such a great life. Everything was falling into place. Things were so good. And 3 months after I got married, I got diagnosed again. So, thankfully, my doctor said, you know what? It's not aggressive. It's slow growing. Let's go ahead and do watch and wait. It did watch and wait for a while. And with that, I think it was 2 years. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I had scans every 3 months. And in August, let me tell you, that was treacherous on the brain. And then in August, my scan was stable. By October, suddenly I had this intense pain in my legs. Pain that just, I would be walking and it would drop me to my knees. And to get where I needed to go, I would have to crawl. I became quickly dependent on everyone around me. I couldn't drive. And I used a walker most of the time, if not a wheelchair. Come to find out, the scan showed it moved into my bone marrow. It got very aggressive. And I wasn't sure how that one was going to work out. 6 months later, woohoo, my body does it again. I responded to treatment for 1 year. I got 1 year there. At 42. Now I'm living on the East Coast. I moved a lot. And I was going to a pretty well-known cancer center. And for 18 months, we went between therapies. They'd start to work, I'd get a reaction. Another one would start to work, I'd get a reaction, right? So, at the end of the 18 months, She just looked at me. She's like, "Diane, my toolbox is empty." She goes, "And you react so much to chemotherapy that I don't think you'd survive a transplant." Thank God my husband was with me that day, because she tore hope. She's gone. Right? Words. My husband said, "You're fired." And off we went. And we went to a local hospital, and this gentleman sat across from me and said, "Okay, so let's talk. What's going on?" And I told him. I said, "I just want more time." And he says, "I think you need to go to Johns Hopkins for a transplant." And I went, and I just started to cry. And he came over, and he put his hand on my knee, and he said to me, "What just happened?" I lifted up my chin. "Tell me, what just happened?" My husband was sitting next to me, and he was at a loss. And I just said, "I won't survive transplant." And what he did next restored hope. It's so vital for a patient. He literally pushed backwards off my knee on his little rolling chair and let out this big belly laugh. And he said, "Are you kidding me? She said that? Look at you. You're healthy other than cancer. I give transplants to people twice your age." He goes, "No wonder you left. We're sending you to Johns Hopkins. They've got you." And they did. I went to Johns Hopkins, and we planned on doing a haploid bone marrow transplant using my siblings. We had some challenges there. We don't have the same mom, or the same dad. So we're kind of going in, not sure what was going to happen. Two out of the three were able to do it. Were my match. But the problem is their age. They were out of the ideal age bracket for a sibling. They're older than I am. So one day I get a phone call. Somebody tells me about a Johns Hopkins clinical trial. And it was comparing the side effects of a half-match bone marrow transplant to that of a cord blood transplant. Why would I not take the chance of getting a brand new sparkly shiny immune system? Have you seen mine? Of course I have. So yes, I said yes. These were my donors. Baby A from Michigan, and Baby O from Germany. And Baby A was my hero. On December 3rd, 2013, 19 years from the month I was diagnosed with cancer, I was given a double umbilical cord blood stem cell transplant. It's always a mouthful. And this one saved me. 27 days later, I was 100% grafted to this baby. So I may not have had kids, but I certainly have a baby. And I love her. She is my hero. I am now 9 years lymphoma-free. But wait, like any good infomercial, there's more. Ding, I won the grand prize. I can't win the lottery. Breast cancer at age 50. Ductal carcinoma in situ. I'd gone in for a procedure, and they found a few stem cells in my left breast, which was radiated during transplant. The left side was radiated in 1995, and then I had total body radiation during transplant. So they found this ductal carcinoma. And I just said, I am done. Take that. Double mastectomy, needed no treatment. And here I stand today. This is the life that I have now. That's my husband of 15 years. And up in that corner there, and I want to take this and just, I don't know if you can see it with this, but those two little kids up there on that one side, that's I got a couple more minutes, I hope. That is my great niece and great nephew. They were alive when I went through this. But that puppy was my heart. All the other little kids, I would have never met them. And that one in that little stocking, she's brand new. She is my great-great niece. So she is my sister's daughter's son's daughter. And I would have never been here to witness that if it wasn't for cord blood. So let's go back to hope. Remember that doctor who told me that there was always medical research going on? That day I walked out of that appointment and I said, someone somewhere is working on something that will someday cure me. And I believed that to my core, except for that small moment when that one doctor told me I would never survive a transplant. She has seen me speak, by the way, since then. And so I stood here yesterday and I looked around this room and I thought, wow, these people here, you're my someones. You're my someones. Okay. Cord blood was my something. December 3rd was my someday. Dr. Fatima, Dubai, Stem Cell Congress, Horton Stem Cell Lab. You are all going to be some patient's someone. Don't ever forget that. I know I am not a scientist, but I'm pretty sure your work gets hard sometimes and challenging, and you just want to throw in the cards, right? Don't. There's somebody counting on you. And it may be somebody that you don't know. And it may be your sister, your daughter, a family member, a friend. Someone somewhere is hoping that you someday cure them. Cord blood. Cord blood is the hope that brings life.